Absolutely. Thank you. Glyn.
Thank you. Simon Fell.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Glynn, a couple of questions for you, please. We've heard through the evidence that's been drawn out in this session a number of concerns around public trust and confidence in the complaint system and the discipline system for the police as well, despite reform after reform over the years. I'm wondering, from your experience of working in policing and making a police complaint as a member of the public, what do you think? Why do you think public trust and confidence in the system continues to be an issue? What are the underlying problems there?
Well, I think maybe just referring back to the independence and the police marking their own homework is one of the things that really makes people concerned that there's an independent investigation, that they'll be taken seriously. I guess people's experience also of, again, what we've already talked about, the communication not being timely, not being in language that people can understand. And I'll go back to the point about media that was just made, actually. One of the features of particularly incidents where they are shown on social media, public order matters, there is a tendency for the police to want to quickly support their officers by saying what happened was lawful, the officers did a great job. And they are too quick to do that in many cases, because they are doing that before there's been a proper investigation or a look at all the evidence. And that puts people in a position where, well, why on earth would I complain if the police are already saying everything that the police did there was lawful? A complaint is therefore pointless. So I think in the age of social media, whilst it's important that the police communicate about these things, they should be more careful about what they say, and definitely be careful about making blanket statements that justify all police actions before any review of all police actions has taken place.
Thank you. And obviously, for officers under investigation, they're in an inviolable position. And I'm wondering, what's your view of the welfare support that they receive when they're in that position? Do you think they get a sufficient level of support, or do you think the system needs changing there as well?
I think it's patchy, and that's not a good thing. And there are actually too many examples of police officers under investigation for long periods of time not being given the right kind of support. Sometimes officers under investigation are ostracized. Their colleagues feel like they shouldn't communicate with them because they're under investigation, and that results in isolation, in mental health problems, and worse. So police forces, I think, can do a lot more to ensure that they look after officers under investigation throughout that time period. And this goes back to the timeliness point that we've already made, that says, well, let's try and keep those time periods to a reasonable minimum, bearing in mind having proper investigations and gathering evidence does take time. So I think there's a better balance can be struck there that will be reassuring for officers and also for the public, that when investigations are taking place, that the right measures are there for all involved.
And do you think they're learning their lesson on this? Do you think they're making improvements in this space, or are we just seeing the same problems repeated time and again?
I think we're seeing some of the same problems with officers. The suicide rate in policing is concerning, and other and mental health impacts as well. So I don't think those lessons have been well learned yet, and the police would benefit from independent research studies that look at this and come up with robust recommendations that have some teeth, like we've said, so that those recommendations are enacted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.